Hello, and welcome to the webinar session 6. And this is the next generation ticketing and payments, and it's on the Transport Innovation Summit. So welcome all. So what we'll be talking about today is something about ticketing technology. How do we do the transition to cashless in the wake of COVID-19 and its role in public transport? So it seems like there is a need to speed up adoption of new ticketing and payments during to and after the pandemic. Also, the changing nature of what it means to payments to be contactless. And also, how do we integrate the transport ticketing into other existing apps for passenger ease? So those are the kind of things that we should be covering over the next couple of hours. And yeah, I don't know how you feel it, but I think all over the world, it seems that we'll be operating for quite some time with the coronavirus as a stowaway. How will the freedom of mobility actually look like post-COVID? That's what we all would like to know. Will it be the same or as before? Will we dare to stand just next to the next passengers as we have been used to before? Will working from home become a lasting thing that will then again reflect what we do in public transport? And could that even reduce road congestion? Will we also continue to use video meetings as this one instead of traveling as we were used to in a considerable way? Or will we just, when we get the freedom to mobility, just get the hell out of there, out on the road and on the airplanes as nobody has seen before? And how do ticketing play into this game? This is what we're talking about today. And I have some wonderful speakers, as you can see. And the idea is that we will have 4 presentations. And you can see we have a very balanced speaker team, both in terms of geographically coverage, but also in gender coverage. So I think we're just fine. Like to welcome Tonya Anderson, like to welcome from Denver, USA, Owen Griffith, from Ringwood, Hampshire in the UK, Tina Merck, Pierre from Dallas, Texas in the USA. And we also have, where is she? Camilla Wedel. I don't know if is she on yet? Is Camilla on? Camilla is joining us in a little while. So without further ado, I think I would like to switch it over to Tonya Anderson for your speak, Tonya. So if you could take the screen, and as soon as I see the screen, I'll just give you a little thumbs up. I see your screen. Good luck.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Soren, for that great introduction. Good day, everyone. I'm Tanya Anderson, the Senior Product Manager of Electronic Fare Operations at RTD Denver. The Electronic Fare Operations team is made up of stakeholders from just about every department at RTD. And our vision is to provide our customers with a fare system that's customer-focused, cost-effective, scalable, and supports a modern and seamless transit experience, utilizing a very flexible platform that will enable the future region's efficiencies in transportation. We're responsible for 2 digital fare collection systems, a mobile ticketing platform that's been provided by Masabi, and a closed-loop smart card system supplied by Conduent. RTD Denver, now in its 51st year, is the regional public transportation provider for the Denver metro area. Our buses, we have light rail, commuter rail, paratransit service, and our microtransit on-demand service meet the needs of 3 million people across 8 counties and 40 cities. That's a lot of mayors. In 2019, we delivered over 97 million safe and reliable passenger trips. I'm proud to share, with resilience and tenacity, RTD launched a new commuter rail service this week called the N Line. Who launches a new commuter rail service in the middle of a pandemic? We do. The N Line, or the North Line, serves the communities north of the Central Business District and adds 7 new stations and 13.5 additional miles of track to the vast RTD network. The 7 stations provide, in addition to commuter rail service, it provides car and bike parking. It provides access to our on-demand flex ride service and a vital connection to our downtown Central Business District. Everyone here at RTD is really excited. It was an 8-year project, and we're just really proud of the launch and the success of offering this very important service to the people here in Denver. It's a bright spot right now for us, and a boost of confidence, which I think we really needed during these really tough times. As the transportation provider for the Denver metro area, we play a major role in the lives of millions of people. RTD is an industry leader in public transportation, meeting not only in our commuter rail service delivery, but also in the mobile digital space. Meeting customer desire for more flexible, customized service requires public transportation providers like RTD to forge relationships and partnerships, strong collaborations with new mobility partners in the private sector. This is where the future is. Our customers don't look at all of the various mobility providers in this space and look at us as all competitors. Our customers expect us to all work together, to collaborate, and to deliver the best service that we can for the city. And so this is what the public we serve expects of us. Excuse me, it's early in Denver. As transit providers, it's our responsibility every day to explore the very best ways to help people get where they need to go as easily and as seamless as possible. We're committed to delivering innovative solutions through the implementation of a variety of mobility as a service, or MaaS, and mobility on demand mod projects. Last year, in partnership with EasyMile, TransDev, Panasonic, LC Full and Wider, and the City and County of Denver, we completed a demonstration of a first and last mile solution using an autonomous shuttle vehicle. The AV shuttle service was deployed on public roadway, a first for the state of Colorado, and it connected a commuter rail station with the Panasonic building and an emerging apartment complex. This autonomous vehicle shuttle service was fully integrated into the RTD service offering. So if you went on our website and did a search or a trip planning, the shuttle service would come up as a mobility option for our customers in Denver. We're in the planning phases of implementing so that's our autonomous vehicle shuttle that we did in 2019. We have 2 other projects that we're working on and hoping to launch sometime this year or early next year. We're in the planning phases of implementing a pilot with Uber to offer customers the convenience of booking subsidized non-emergency medical transportation through their ride-hailing app. This project has a potential of providing RTD with cost savings, as well as being able to meet the capacity during the high demand peak hours for RTD. We're also working with Metro Taxi to supplement our on-demand service with a more cost-effective midday service using our own on-demand ride booking platform. So these are some of the ways RTD continues to lead with customer first, to provide the products and services and the convenience that our customers crave. So today I want to share with you some insights from our mobile innovation journey. This journey began in 2016 after our general manager at the time, Dave Genova, returned from a conference and proclaimed, we need to launch a mobile ticketing solution. It did. That really did happen. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that happens to. Despite some mixed reviews back in early 2016, we saw transit agencies having low adoption on mobile ticketing back then. Some of the transit agencies were having very successful high adoption rates. We were a little unsure, but we knew that we needed to take action. We needed to think big. Our card-based smart card system was not delivering the customer service and the experience and just not helping us with meeting our goals at the time. And so adoption of our MyRide card, a store value card, was very low. And so to address this in a way, act as a stopgap between major fare collection system launches, as you know, you may be aware, these large fare collection implementations take many years and they're very expensive. And so we looked at mobile ticketing as a stopgap and as a way to provide these services to our customers between major fare collection system implementations. After spending over a year or so releasing new features on our mobile ticketing app, our white label mobile tickets app, we expanded mobile ticketing options with a collaboration with Uber. We became the first transit agency in the world to offer real-time transit information and ticketing within the Uber app. A few months after our launch with Uber, we launched ticketing in the transit app. We wanted to provide our customers with an option. We understand that there is, to some extent, what's called app fatigue. You may experience it yourself. You know, there's a new service, a new product, and they say, download this app. And the first thought that a lot of customers and a lot of people are starting to think now is, oh, I don't want to download another app. You can't make me. So we wanted to provide an option to our customers where they could buy RTD tickets with an app or in an app that they already had on their phones. So right now, people in the Denver metro region can plan their trips, buy RTD tickets through the Uber app and the transit app, and use their smartphones as their ticket to ride our rail and bus service. And it's an excellent contactless solution, which is really important during these days. Our collaboration with Uber and Transit happened organically. There was no planning, and I say that with a smile because I'm not a planner, but I'm sure there are planners in the audience. There was no long, lengthy years of planning. The opportunity became available to us as a member or a customer on the Maasabi platform, and we just jumped on it. There was no upfront implementation cost. However, we do pay a commission for every ticket that's sold on the Maasabi platform. That commission is the same across all three apps. So the commission that we would pay Maasabi on our white label app is the same that we would pay for the commissions to Uber and Transit. Those commissions are paid to Maasabi. We are not privy to the relationships or the commercial agreements between Maasabi and Uber or Maasabi and Transit. Our contractual relationship is with Maasabi. The price of the tickets are also the same. So our customers get the same deal for their monthly passes or their day passes in our white label app as they would in the Uber or Transit app. Revenue management and customer service is super simple. Everything's in the same back office. We're not bouncing between back offices. We're not bouncing between different websites. We can see all of our sales. We can service all of our customers through this same customer service hub. And that was really important to RTD. We wanted to make sure that whatever we implement, not only is it customer focused, delivering the experience and the service that our customers expect and desire, but is it simple for us so that we can do a great job for our customers. The tickets themselves are identical. We don't have to worry about training our fare enforcement and bus operators with a different ticket view. They all look the same. To date, we've sold over 75,000 tickets in the Uber app, which represents approximately 4% of all mobile ticket sales. In the Transit app, we've sold over 33,000 tickets, which represents approximately 2% of all mobile ticket sales. So as you can see, The majority of the tickets that are sold in our white label app. That is typically the experience that transit agencies will see. Whichever app you launch with first will typically have the greatest adoption, with the idea that the service and the experience is generally the same across all channels. Mobility as a service is an integration, and so this, the launching of the mobile ticketing app, as I mentioned, did not go through an extensive planning discussions with the planning department, but it did generate a lot of excitement. And with that, it led to the formation of a Mobility as a Service Operations Steering Committee here at RTD. And the goal of the steering committee is to develop the Mobility as a Service framework and the set of principles to guide the agency as we move across this framework. The committee did a holistic review of all of the activities and described within the framework, and determined that RTD, with the implementation of our mobile ticketing solution and our current fare collection system, is currently between a level 1 and a level 2. Level 1 is the integration of information. So with releasing our GTFS real-time and schedule feed, we reached level 1, at least for our fixed routes. Level 2 is the integration of booking and payment of a single trip. And our partnership with Masabi, our mobile ticketing provider, we're closer to achieving that level 2. Level 3 is I think it's going to be a little tougher. Level 3 will not happen here at RTD as organically and spontaneously as level 1, and as we work towards level 2. Level 3 will require additional integration, not just with the app features, the tech companies, they can handle the tech, but the fares and the fare policies, not just within ourselves, but among the mobility partners that we will be working with in this MaaS solution. And moving towards achieving level 2 on the MaaS framework will be made possible by our recent FTA Accelerating Innovative Mobility Challenge Grant Award. The project will offer a single transaction, multimodal, both trip planning and fare purchasing experience in a single app, and that app is the transit app. It will we're working with interregional bus service provider called Bustang and Outrider, and this bus service is provided by the City and County of Denver, the Colorado Department of Transportation. We will also have the opportunity to integrate with a scooter company, which have yet to be selected by the City and County of Denver, as well as a on-demand service provided by the City of Lone Tree, which is within our service district. To make all of this happen, we'll be also updating and providing the fares portion of the GTFS framework. We currently have other files that we provide, but in order to make the payment portion, the integrated payment portion, as seamless and scalable as possible for our technology providers, we're going to provide the information that says, this is how much the fares are going to cost. This is how you calculate transfers. Right now, all of our mobility providers, the Uber and Transit, they do these fares manually, and it's a lot of work for them. And the information is not always perfectly displayed in the app. And so we're going to meet halfway, and we're going to provide the files. And this awesome grant is going to provide the funding for us to do that. And we're really looking forward to implementing this new feature in the transit app, as our mobile ticketing platform and that particular revenue service model really was just astronomically phenomenal. Before the pandemic, the growth of our mobile ticketing channel was just incredible. Initially, we expected 3% adoption in our mobile ticketing app. Right before the pandemic, there was a 13.8 adoption for mobile ticketing. So almost 14% of all sales, fare sales, happened in our mobile ticketing channel. And it grew over time, surpassing our MyRide smart card adoption rate. In December of 2018, it surpassed our paper ticket books. Our paper ticket books are actually quite popular. People like the convenience of being able to rip tickets and share them. And so we do sell quite a few of those. And it's a sales channel that we track outside of all the other paper tickets. And then a year later, we surpassed fare boxes. And in March or February of 2020 of this year, we were trending, mobile ticketing was trending to surpass the ticket vending machine sales. Year-over-year growth has been over 100%, and we're just really excited. We were just really excited. It was really fun to watch the sales grow and the adoption grow in our mobile ticketing app. Unfortunately, in March 2020, we did not exceed ticket vending machine sales. Our mobile ticketing channel did not exceed the ticket vending machine sales. Instead, the opposite happened. As schools closed, thousands of people had their wishes come true as they worked from home. Sales plummeted in our mobile channel, and we watched the decline as the rest of the world did. But as we were watching the decline, we saw something we did not expect. What we noticed is that although mobile ticketing, our smart card and ticket vending machine sales plummeted 80, 90%, our fare boxes did not. Yes, it did drop because ridership dropped, but it only dropped by 60%. What we took from that information is that our essential workers who, for whatever reason, need to or choose to take public transportation as they provide that vital essential service was paying with cash. We didn't expect to see that. We continued, so there was a period of time in Q2 where RTD Denver, we suspended fare collection. And as we resumed fare collection in July and August of this year, we're seeing the same, a trend that supports the trend that we saw during the suspension period. As you can see, everybody is not flocking to the mobile ticketing, at least those that are riding transit today. It is still the fare box that is exceeding mobile ticketing and ticket vending machine sales. So I spoke a lot last year about single occupancy vehicles and how that is going to be the new opportunity zone where we've shifted. It's a pivot to a certain extent based on this new information. And for the RTD Denver, our focus is now to deliver an experience, a mobile experience that is conducive for our unbanked, underbanked, and cash preferred customers. And we plan to do that first and foremost, looking at our partners and seeing what solutions they provide. We're partnering with Masabi to implement a solution at our own RTD sales outlets to allow customers to purchase mobile tickets with cash. Now, yes, these customers will need a mobile phone, a smartphone to do that. But past surveys that we've conducted, we know that approximately 80% of our customer base has a smartphone. And so we're fairly confident that this is going to be a solution that will solve, or at least be a part of the solution that will solve this problem for us. We're also working and hoping to work with other third-party app providers like Uber, who already have this cash digitization solution available in their app. So in the Uber app, a customer can go to CVS Pharmacy. They can top off that Uber cash and then use that Uber cash to buy a transit ticket. This feature is available across 8,000 CVS pharmacies, I believe, in this country, and that every CVS location in Denver provides this solution. Cash digitization, this concept, is not new. There's a lot of transit agencies out there that have a very well-established network with retailers and that provide this service for their customers. It's new for us. We have a solution with our smart card system, but it's very antiquated. It requires a lot of equipment to be installed, and so our ability to expand this network has been challenged. And so we're really looking forward to being able to provide a more efficient, seamless solution to digitize cash for our customers here in Denver. We've been talking about implementing this solution since last year. If there's ever a compelling reason to do it, this new normal and the data that we discovered is reason enough. And we're now taking action. I hope you found this presentation valuable. Thanks everybody for your time.
All right, thanks Tonya for your presentation, and it went through fine. I just had one question to understand the American way of ticketing. The fare box, is that something that's in the bus, or?
Yes, the fare box is in the bus, in the vehicle, typically in the front of the bus. Yep, and it accepts cash and ticket products.
Okay, so that is paid by cash. But people that buy them at vending machine, will they also typically use cash there?
What we are seeing from the data is that 75% of our transactions at the ticket vending machines are credit card transactions. Only 25% is cash.
Okay. Do you have any data on how many of the unbanked or the people who pay by cash, how many of those guys always also carry a smartphone, or is it just a generic number you have?
Yeah, I just have a generic number. I could probably do some research and find the answer to that question, but we do know that I don't know the percent of the unbanked or underbanked that have smart cards, but from a transit agency, just the population here at Denver, we're fairly confident at 80 and maybe even higher now. That survey is a few years old, but at least 80% of our customers reported in the survey that they have a smartphone. Okay,
cool. Tonya, thank you very much, and we'll come back to you. There was a lot of exciting stuff in your presentation that also can see in the questions that we will have to dive deeper into a little bit later. As some of you who is checking the time, you might see it going a little bit over time, but we have one presentation less, so not I'm giving too much hope for Owen. So Owen, would you please take over the digital podium here, and let's see what you got for us.
Great. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome everyone. And thank you, Tonya and Soren, and thank you to the team at Intelligent Transport for organising this event and for inviting me to join you today. Remote video connectivity has worked well for many of us over the last few months. However, compared to meeting together face-to-face, increasingly we're missing many important things: the camaraderie, the chance encounter, the exchange of ideas, the building of understanding and trust that can only come, in my view, through meeting together. But most of us have a choice about whether to travel and under what circumstances. However, many people are reliant on having safe and effective public transport to get to where they need to be. So the theme this afternoon is relevant and timely as we look at what part we can play within ticketing in helping to make public transport as safe as we can and encourage people back on board. For those of you that don't know us, Flowbird is present in over 5,000 towns and cities across 80 countries and comprises business units that have joined through merger, acquisition, and organically around the world, all of which are focused around a shared vision of mobility, whether that be public transport, where we work with bus, rail, tram, light rail, ferry, and other modes of public transport, parking solutions, or wider smart city and regional transport schemes. And we've built strong capabilities in digital, mobile, and secure payment solutions. Our mission at Flowbird Transport Intelligence is simply to make it easier, safer, and quicker for people to access, use, and pay for public transport, and to provide operators with the tools and information to serve their customers better. Across the group, we deploy and support systems which manage over 1 billion transactions per year through mobile apps or through the 400,000 connected devices we have installed around the world. And an increasing number of these transactions are, of course, facilitated using contactless technology, which is relevant also for our topic today. So when I was thinking about today's theme, I wondered whether we at Flowbird and as an industry are doing all we can to aid the recovery of public transport by making retailing as easy, safe, and accessible as possible. And are we communicating effectively enough the solutions and innovations that can help encourage people back on board? Recent research by Transport Focus in the UK indicated that over 1/3 of previously regular users of public transport so that they won't return until they feel safe again. Although the application of social distancing and the mandatory use of face masks and other measures is helping. The picture clearly varies country to country, although the pattern is one of a reduced use of public transport. The more positive news is that those people who are using public transport regularly are much more confident about its safety than those who have not yet returned. So it seems to me that the first challenge in encouraging passengers back on board is to ensure that we do all that we can to make the passenger experience one that is safe and feels safe. Now, obviously, much of that's outside the direct scope of ticketing, such as enabling seat reservations on trains where possible, reducing face-to-face interactions between passengers and transport staff, providing passenger counting, provision of occupancy or capacity information, both in real time and for planning ahead, and many other measures. And I really applaud transport operators for the work and suppliers in those areas for the work they've been doing on all of that. The title of this webinar or this session is the transition to cashless in the wake of COVID-19 and its role in public transport's recovery. And it would seem to me that from a ticketing point of view, COVID-19 is accelerating something that was already happening. There haven't, as far as I can see, been any seismic technology changes per se, and indeed no real change of direction, but rather an acceleration of existing trends away from cash in many cases, towards a greater use of contactless ticketing solutions, be that mobile, open payments, account-based or pre-purchase. And with the increased adoption of these contactless digital solutions comes an opportunity that I see to better serve passengers in what is becoming the new normal. People already wanted to travel differently. The traditional 5-day, Monday to Friday commute was already becoming one of many working patterns, and possibly not the most common one in many cases. People already wanted to work from home more often, go to the office when they want to go in rather than at the same time each day. And indeed with COVID, offices are looking at staggering working times, which will make the ability to have dynamic, flexible and best value fare structures even more relevant in this new normal. And this, I believe, is where open payments and account-based ticketing, at Flowbird we call it cloud fare, but account-based ticketing can really support public transport operators, not only to respond to these demands, but also through powerful business analytics to have better insights into their customers' journey patterns and needs, and to provide services that match these new needs. For example, to recognize loyalty, or to provide targeted incentives to people who may have stopped using public transport, and to build trust and confidence with passengers. There are many options, of course, and the image on the slide shows an upgrade kit attached to legacy hardware to enable a simple upgrade path to a secure open payment solution. It's one of many possible ways forward. So whilst I believe safety and the perception of safety is the absolute first priority in encouraging people back to public transport, I think providing fares and services that support the so-called new normal will be important in regaining passengers in the midterm, and ABT and contactless ticketing, I think, is a key enabler for this. But just as Tonya did, let's talk about cash for a moment. In the UK, the Royal Mint has produced 26 times as many £2 coins as they need. And they've recently announced that production has been stopped for 10 years, which I guess means forever. Even before COVID, the use of cash was falling rapidly, and this has been massively accelerated over the last few months with a huge increase in the use of contactless payments. COVID has acted as an accelerant, and many people who were not keen on contactless before COVID are now very comfortable with it. Retailing is shifting away from machines to users, simply tapping their cards or using mobile apps. However, and this is really important, in the UK and in other countries, but certainly in the UK, there There are around 20% of the population, often more vulnerable members of society, and as Tonya pointed out, often essential workers, who still use or even rely on cash. So clearly, it's important that they're not excluded from access to public transport, and any solutions need to take care of them too. So before we get too carried away with digital, I'd like to highlight some work that we're doing to innovate around some of these challenges and around some of the existing systems out there. For example, with our self-service devices, the Flowbird retail kiosks pictured, for example, we're working to make them much more accessible and helpful, providing good quality information in an accessible format. And this is not simple, where fare structures can be very complex. However, such devices can help to simplify decision-making and provide information about occupancy or service delays. And as well as providing tickets, they can be used to digitize cash in order to add value to ABT accounts. And using cash for those who are unbanked or are not comfortable with mobile apps or web portals allows removal of cash from other points in the system. We've been innovating and have innovated to ensure that there are low touch or no touch options. We've incorporated automatic anti-back dispensers, for example, onto our range of self-service retailing products, which can dispense gel when the machines are used. It's a visible way to help improve passenger confidence as they move around transit systems. And the evidence that this type of innovation is desirable has been supported by research showing that about 85% of people thought hand sanitizer should be made available on public transport. Taking this even further, our R&D team is collaborating with Liverpool University on an exploration of surface antimicrobial materials, which can be applied to retail screens for safe use. And beyond anti-back, we've also seen a renewed interest in remote ticket offices, which eliminate almost all touch interfaces at self-service terminals by providing a video-assisted retailing experience in which passengers can speak with an operator remotely and watch while their ticket is selected, using their contactless payment card or phone to complete the transaction without having to touch the self-service screens at all. So it's in this context that welcoming passengers back on board can be achieved through multiple innovations, including more contactless interfaces which extend beyond just the payments. However, going on a step further, in the wake of coronavirus, in many countries, we've seen a shift away from public transport towards other modes such as bikes, scooters, walking, and understandably, but unfortunately, private cars. And I'd like us really to look at that also as an opportunity. It's an opportunity, I think, for the transport industry to join the dots to facilitate a better end user experience, creating a mobility as a service or solution or solutions that serve the user and provide a great experience, using these other modes to feed into the public transport infrastructure or to act as a solution for the first and last mile. Certainly at Flowbird, we're investing into connecting these dots, for example, enabling a tap for parking, continuing with public transport, and ending the journey with a bike rental. Indeed, we can adapt the business rules and fares such that the parking fee can be discounted or free in the event that public transport is used. Our solutions integrate with the major card networks, most recently adding Carte Bancaire in France, along with Visa and MasterCard, of course, and will become compatible with other payment means in the near future. So as a MaaS supplier, we look to connect people to the transit networks in their cities by providing the technology and integration with third-party providers. For example, in Monaco, we will be launching integrated services with public transport, parking, and final mile travel modes of transport, including a mobile app. And this positively contributes to the overall vision of contactless retailing being achievable for transit worldwide. Recognizing that different countries, cities, and operators have both shared and specific needs around mobility and ticketing, and it's important to have flexible, open, and modular solutions to respond to these needs. So COVID has created and has created a big challenge and continues to be challenging for public transport in many countries. However, there are positive ways, I believe, to respond to the challenges arising from COVID. I've touched on some of the things we can do together within ticketing, and how the push to contactless can help drive us towards better solutions for the future. My experience, though, is that working closely in partnership is a really important success factor. In Flowbird, we're innovating and investing into solutions that are open, scalable, and flexible, and that support mobile, open payments, and account-based platforms to enable and facilitate mobility as a service solutions as part of a wider ecosystem. Multi-tenanted cloud solutions for multimodal transport provide an efficient back-office ecosystem where many systems can be connected, increasingly through open APIs and open data, which I'm sure you will see more of in the future. These technologies translate to improvements in efficiency and success of systems, and give passengers control through the management of their payments, their journeys, their transaction histories. And for operators, they can provide clarity and near real-time access to important data. Finally, innovation, in my view, works best when we speak together. Finding the innovations that add the most value for cities and transport operators and ultimately to end users is key. And this works best when we exchange ideas and work together. So I'm looking forward very much to your questions and continuing the discussion. So thank you, and Søren, I'll hand back to you at this point.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Owen, for a nice presentation. And did I hear you right that you're now putting an operator in the vending machine?
Yes, so what we've done is, and this is with rail operators in this instance, but it could apply anywhere, is on the vending machine, we've integrated a screen-in-screen. So basically, if someone needs help, they can ask for that help, and it will link through in real time to a trained member of operator staff who can be located in a call center or at another station or even working from home. And that member of staff can then take control of the machine and guide the user through the whole process of choosing the right ticket, and provide other information about what time the train might arrive, which platforms go to, all those things that would normally have required face-to-face interaction. So with this solution, and it's in real live operation in the UK, very successful. And it also actually is really helpful for people with certain disabilities, visually impaired people, for example. We have a Braille button, so they can press that for help, and the rest of the process is taken care for them, other than presenting their contactless card at the end of that process. So it's been really really well received, yeah, that amongst other things.
That's kind of interesting, because the real idea of having ticket vending machines was actually to get rid of the not said in the most positive way of operator or sales or ticket offices, so that you could reduce the cost of manpower.
Exactly.
So it's really kind of a full circle here.
Yeah, and one of the other benefits that we've seen is that small stations, where often they're not manned 24/7, it's possible for someone to still get proper assistance and be linked through, again, either to a call center or just to a larger station where there are staff available who can answer that call and provide that help. So it really is, as well as exactly an efficiency benefit for operators, it can actually be very much a user experience benefit of having that human interaction without any chance of a virus coming across that interface.
Okay, cool. So to everybody, we are just one presentation away from an open discussion. So Tina Mørk, and by the way, Owen, thank you very much. Tina, would you care to take over and take the screen and show us what's going on in Dallas?
Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
I see it beautifully. Go ahead.
Very good. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Again, I'm Tina Merck-Pierre. I am the Assistant Vice President of Innovation at Dallas Area Rapid Transit. If you can't tell, I'm from Texas with this accent. So I'm coming to you today, and I want to talk a little bit about things about DART. And so I'm going to give you some fun facts about DART. I'm going to talk about DART's road to contactless. I'm also going to talk about implementing EMV during a pandemic. Yes, trying to do that, as well as having a full discussion about unbanked and underbanked solutions. So let's get into some fun facts. So we serve the city of Dallas as well as 12 surrounding cities in North Texas regions. Our modes of transport include buses, light rail, commuter rail, micro transit, van pool, and paratransit services. We move more than 220,000 passengers per day across 700 square mile service area. Now that was pre-COVID. Of course, those numbers have dropped and plummeted because of the pandemic. We have 93-mile light rail system. I must add, it's the longest light rail system in the US and it continues to grow. We have 34-mile commuter rail system in the DFW region. And of course, DART is continuing to expand its services. So those of you that know me and have seen our presentations before, I like to talk about a journey, and I'll take you on a journey where DART has been. So I'm going to talk to you about DART's road to contactless. Now, if you can see this slide, it really shows starting in 2013, but in actuality, it was 2011. In 2011, we start seeing in Europe the use of EMV contactless card in the region, and that was transport for London. And so looking in the US and EMV not getting to the US, we needed to find a solution to be able to start moving from a cash society to something that's more contactless. Now you're going to hear me in this presentation use the term contactless versus cash solution. I want to let you guys understand that our Federal Transit Administration cautions us for changing to fair media policies, such as a cashless solution due to our Title VI requirements. And so what we look to do is to make sure that we provide other means to our individuals to ride our systems. And in this case, in 2013, we introduced what was called the GoPass app. It was the first mobile ticketing app along with TriMet. I wanted to put that out there because TriMet in Portland introduced the mobile ticketing app in the US. We were weeks apart. It is an account-based solution that provided ticketing to customers. They were visually accepted. We had trip planning. So at that time, it was scheduled trips that the customer could look for their journey. Also, we provided special events and offers, allowing customers to actually see what is around the region and also special offers that they can get to. And lastly, it became a regional acceptance. So we partnered with Fort Worth, Trinity Metro, as well as DCTA and Denton County to join in on the mobile app platform so our customers can have a seamless transition. Now, you're going to see a large gap, and that's what happens with transit agencies within a 5-year period. What are we doing from a technical perspective? We introduced this app, and we did have a large volume of customers to use it, but we wanted to make sure that we had gotten our customers converted from cash because cash collection is expensive. So back in 2018, we updated the GoPass app to be a mobility as a service app. It included customers to be able to use their Apple and Google Pay within the wallet, but most importantly, it was a cash to mobile feature. That cash to mobile feature, yes, in essence, taking an app and taking it into a grocery store or 7-Eleven or mom and pop shop to be able to go and take their cash to the cashier year and load value into a digital wallet. That was huge undertaking for a mobility as a service platform. We also included a partnership with Uber to provide Uber Pool. We provided real-time information, meaning real-time with vehicles showing on the map of where our services and vehicles are at for customers to be able to see. We introduced microtransit, which of course is on-demand services, and we also provide multimodal trip planning, which is important for the first to last mile. And in addition to that, we allow customers to take advantage of fare capping. And fare capping, in essence, is within a calendar month time period, our customers can earn up to a monthly pass. So if they earned up to a monthly pass on, say, September the 27th, beginning the 28th of that month, they get to ride the service for free. Now, in that same year, as you can see in 2018, we were very busy in 2018. We introduced the GoPass Tap Card. That's the account-based ticketing solution, which is the closed loop solution, because we realized that we could not capture all of our customers. All of our customers did not want to use a smartphone. And as Tanya said earlier, now everybody doesn't want to download another app. So we had to make sure that we accommodate for individuals that wanted to use another form to pay for their services. So we partnered with VIX Technology in this case. And by the way, the GoPass app was provided by Unwire out of Copenhagen. Saran, you should understand about Unwire in Copenhagen. But with the VIX Technology solution, we were able to offer customers the same type of retail acceptance. They can go to over 700 stores in our service area to be able to load cash to be able to use it digitally in our system. This also provides them with balance protection and, again, fare capping. It was very important for DART to make sure that we had a balance between systems. If we're offering fare capping on the app, we wanted to make sure that on the ABT solution, we were also offering the same type of benefit. And so then we get into 2020 and COVID hit. And so we already start looking at ways of how can we make this more of contactless, because we've heard from our customers. They don't want to touch the fare boxes. They don't want to touch the TVM machines, but they still need to get to and from work. And these are our essential workers. So one project that we've implemented was with our GoLink service. So that is our microtransit solution, and it's called GoLink. And what we've done is allow for microtransit fares to be collected during the booking process. So you don't have to bring cash or paper tickets. You can use the app, you can use the tap card, you can use the IVR system. And for those of you that don't know what an IVR system is, an interactive voice response system. It's a PCI system that'll allow the customer enter their credit or debit card information, even a gift card, to pay for their fares. And then, as you see, we're moving into 2020 and 2021. So DART has just started its pilot in August 30th, matter of fact, to be able to implement contactless EMV. And that is the open loops payment. Now, the difference with some of these contacts is DART is using the MTT model, the mass transit transaction model, to make sure that we can take advantage of the payment aggregation that comes along with it, along with the cost savings. So again, that's accepting contactless credit or debit cards, all the wallets, Apple, Google, Samsung, even Fitbit. If it's actually a contactless and it can be read at our reader and it's a wallet, we want to be able to accept it for our customers. And lastly, as the theme has gone on, is fare capping is important. So we want to make sure that we offer the same type of benefit as we did with the app, as we have done with the tap card, the ABT, the solution, as well as with EMV. So as we move on, I wanted to talk to you about implementing EMV during a pandemic. And so it's not just a turn on of a switch to ensure that contactless credit and debit cards are accepted. You have to go through testing. And so I wanted to point out some things to you. Pilot testing can be challenging, especially trying to get individuals to be recruited. Service levels and ridership decreases impacts that type of recruitment. In addition to that, you're going to have riders that are not as keen to actually try a new system out in an unknown during a crisis. So we have to try to convince them that this will allow them to be more safer and secure by looking at contactless. And finally, trying to educate riders virtually, it requires some patience, but it is key and important for us to be able to do. The other piece is all the feedback we've received for the customer is vital. It's going to enhance the customer experience. It's essential for achieving ridership gains to make sure that a customer's journey is not problematic and they're able to get from point A to point B and pay for their services and be satisfied. The other thing that we had to look at was make the incentive appealing to the rider. So as we are going through this pandemic, we had to find out a solution to make it appealing to that rider to be able to tap the system. So DART chose lower rates for the pilot period. So that was an incentive for individuals to give it a try, because we believe if it's 45 days, it will become a habit if you're constantly doing it as a process. And lastly, if anyone else is trying to implement EMV during a pandemic, you've got to be creative. It's more than signage, it's communication, it's finding different channels, it's finding different virtual channels and social media to actually reach to your riders. And I wanted to point out on the right-hand side, this is from our marketing team. I'm not marketing, but they do a fine job. It's ride for less while you help us test. You know, something that simple will allow them to help us to test out this open payment system. So as I move on, I wanted to talk about a huge problem that we have as we're looking to move on to contactless, but also, as many of you talk about, as cashless. Is our unbanked and underbanked, and looking at what kind of solutions those are. And as you can see in the middle of the screen, 22% of US adults are either unbanked or underbanked. Let me give you that in volumes. That's about 63 million adults in the US may not have a bank account or a sufficient bank account. And I'm going to explain to you what Forbes magazine said July of this year to define, well, what's an unbanked and underbanked? And these are individuals with no checking or savings account. Their income and expenses are often inconsistent. They may follow a structured budget, and sometimes their budget is an envelope with money with a name on it that says transit fare, electricity bill, rent, and that's how they budget. Also, the demographics are so dynamic and includes individuals from various economic statuses and all walks of life as well. Traditional banks just don't work for him. You know why? Because they're not accessible. They're not in their neighborhoods. It takes them 5 miles just to get to the nearest bank, and that's not good enough for them to conduct their business. And lastly, all of these bank fees. They can't keep up with the varying bank fees, especially when they require you to have a minimum balance in the system for most banks. And so what I'm seeing here, and I've done some research, are potential solutions. One that I spoke about, retail networks transferring cash into digital currency. It's good to see that RTD is going to also participate in that. I know that LA Metro is also doing this as well, converting the cash and sending it to the retailers that know how to take it and transform it. Also, we've been seeing reloadable general purposes prepaid cards. We've seen that the unbanked are using that in order to get around the systems. Now, I haven't seen thus far if they're contactless or not, but at least those can also be provisioned in a mobile or a smartphone as well. And they can use the Apple Pays, the Googles, and the Samsungs, even Fitbits to be able to ride through the system. And the other thing that I've seen in short term is digital-only banking options. And we've seen a transformation to where those individuals can't get to the unbanked, can't get to a bank near them, but they can actually go online. See, the one thing you have to understand that although an individual is unbanked doesn't mean they don't have a smartphone. They use it also for the internet, so they get closer to getting to digital banking opportunities. Now, also what I've seen on the horizon is redefined banking. So our banks are looking at rebalancing the risk portfolios. A part of that is not just looking at the credit history of the individuals, but for the unbanked, taking into consideration other financial criteria such as their rent, are they paying their rent on time, or their utility bills on time as a part of the consideration for them to be able to have access to a debit card. And also restructuring bank fees. You know, I talked about it before, the cost of actually having a bank account or having the minimum requirements, and banks are looking to maybe restructure that for the unbanked. Also, in the US, our federal government is looking to issue prepaid cards. As through the pandemic, what happened is the US provided stimulus packages for everyone. The problem with that is the delivery of that. And a lot of our Americans don't have a bank account. They would get a paper check, and where would they go? The banks were just closed down as well, and you had to have an appointment to get there. So the federal government is looking at, if we do get another stimulus package, how they can provide those individuals with a prepaid card, and maybe a reloadable prepaid card. And lastly, a new discovery that I found was with Google, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You know, that was kind of a little surprise for me, but Google is looking to deploy, or actually developing, a digital payment system. They're going to become a financial bank. So stay tuned to Q2 of 2021 as Google is looking to move on to assist with payments, as well as the Gates family are also looking at this. They've been doing this since I believe it was 2007, but now because of the pandemic, they've been actively engaged in this. And finally, my last thoughts, it takes a village. I don't know if you ever heard this term, it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, it takes a village to actually become contactless. And I wanted to point out some of our partners that we have worked with through the process. Both Tanya and Owen has said it specifically. You have to find the partners. Transit can't do it alone. We need the fintech companies. We need the big tech giants. We need our system integrators. We need our mobile ticketing providers. We need solutions such as the card brands to assist and bring their technology, but also for those solutions like the Pay Near Me's, like the Incoms, like the Blackhawk, to be able to transform cash into a digital format. And with that, I'd like to tell you thank you. And here's all of my information. If you want to chat a little bit more, this is one of my favorite topics. And I'm going to turn it right now over to you, Søren.
Okay, great. What a pace in your presentations. A lot of words, but we heard them all. Good. Thank you very much, Tina. And it seems like you guys in the US have a particular problem with payments from salaries that they still come in paper checks. Don't envy you guys, and especially not in the pandemics. So we will come back to you in the discussion, and we also now have Camille. Vidal, you're in a car, Camille.
Yeah, totally a direct line from a cab. I am the perfect illustration of the mass mobility, because I have to pay at the end of the trip, and because I am in Nice right now, in the south of France, and I would have liked to have some kind of MaaS app to pay with it and to be really seamless. But instead of this, there is not yet a MaaS app application in Nice, so I have to pay with my credit card. That's too bad.
Okay, but are you comfortable giving us a little introduction on what you're doing there, and in general, what your take on today's subject is?
Yes, so thank you for the presentation before. That was really, really nice, I would like to say. Thank you. And just to give a quick introduction, so Camille Vedel, I am a MaaS project manager for Transdev. Transdev is a public transport operator. And as you know, we were impacted by the COVID, because we lost a lot of our customers. And we stopped during some times to sell tickets aboard the buses. So the MaaS is one of the response of this pandemic for us. And the news I wanted to share with you is that this week, Transdev launched its showcase, its MaaS showcase in Saint-Etienne. It's close to Lyon. So we are really excited, and that's why I am here in Nice. I was with the call center, because we have also a call center unified for this MaaS application. And we are really excited about this news, about the MaaS is ongoing, and we hope we will keep going, launching a MaaS app all around the world. So that was a quick introduction about what I am doing. And that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. And that means that we have completed the presentations. And I have a problem with my camera, seems like.
Okay. Here
we go. So I would like to invite all the panelists back on the podium, and there you are. So now we're through the presentation. We have now some time to do some discussions, and I can tell you that we do have questions in from the audience. But I have maybe a little opening first. Owen, you mentioned an ecosystem. Could you expand more on what on that and what that might mean in the context of MaaS?
Yeah, absolutely. I could almost say it's pretty much what Tina said, and Tonya as well earlier. I see it that suppliers, we have a role in MaaS, but really as an enabler, providing technology platforms with the topologies in ticketing, fare engines, events, alarms, customer management, these kind of things, analytics and reporting, payments sometimes. But there's a lot of players. It's the village analogy, I think. And so when we talk about an ecosystem, it's really how we open ourselves up to that. It's how we have open interfaces, open data, APIs, SDKs, all of these good things that allow us to connect in with the Ubers or the bike schemes, or the other services that can be provided even outside of transport that make the whole proposition very attractive, and in my view will help to funnel people onto public transport, because the public transport service then becomes really attractive because it's easy to reach, and it comes with other services, other capabilities, other information that helps users make good choices, but also helps the operators to understand those users and adapt services and be more attractive and engaging, giving possibly incentives or rewards, or just running new services or closing ones that just don't work, because they're getting that data back, and that's going to come not just from transport, it's going to come through all sorts of channels. So that's what I was touching on really. So I think part of it is a mentality. It's a way of being, a way of thinking. And part of it is a lot of hard work and investment and real software and stateless solutions and architectures and microservices and all this good stuff, which we haven't got time to go in now. But I think I would start with a mentality, and then from there, that has to drive the technologies.
Okay, Tonya, when we're talking about ticketing technologies, we also always want to talk about all the latest and greatest stuff and that you can use. But how you're also working with the bankless, or the people who are forced to live by cash, and Tina also mentioned that. So what do you really think you can do about it? Because I mean, it seems to be a very high usage that you have of cash, and especially by the people that really are totally dependent on public transport. Any input?
Sure, I think it's a challenge. The majority of the cash digitization solutions lean heavily on retail. So we want to implement a solution in a storefront. You know, grocery stores, yes, you may, I think initially we thought that would be sufficient, but it really wasn't. And so now we're looking at other solution providers and networks that have them in convenience stores, but it's all still retail. And I don't know if that's really going to be enough. I've conducted, just really anecdotally, a survey of our customers, half a dozen or so, and just a quick interview, right? I didn't do a full-on survey, just a quick interview, and asked if here in Denver, if RTD, if we implemented a cash digitization solution at a very popular convenience store, would that be sufficient for you if you were in a position where you had to use cash to buy an RTD ticket? And the majority of them actually said no. They said, and I dove a little deeper and asked, well, why? Why is these convenience stores that's typically just about in every corner and on every street corner? And they said that because their commute that they take didn't include going near any of this particular retailer. I don't have an answer. I don't have a solution. Like, how can we be ubiquitous when it comes to cash digitization? How can we implement a solution that's trustworthy as well? I don't have an answer. I think right now we're leaning towards retail because it's the easy answer. It's the way everyone's been doing it now. But I think we really need to take a step back and try to be innovative and figure out what is the solution that can be everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's important because I mean, there are two types of people who are paying by cash. Somebody is doing it because they've always done it, but they have other means of payment. I mean, they have a mobile phone, they have a smart card or whatever. And then there are the people who are living in the envelopes, as also I think it was Tina who mentioned that. So Tina, could you share a little bit, just very practical? I have some money here in my hand and I'm going into a shop and giving them to a shop owner or whatever, and then they get magically on my whatever, and then I can travel. How does that work? Could you just quickly go through it?
It's magic, but it's no magic. It's a technology that's already been there. It's barcode. So let's talk about it a little bit. I want to go back to what Tonya said. You're absolutely right. Not everyone is close to a 7-Eleven or some type of convenience store, or even the larger grocery stores are not around. That's why we had to look at where our customers are coming from and understanding it's none of those. It's mom and pop shops, it's bodegas, it's little boutiques, it's Home Depot. And I'm gonna tell you this quick little story. Home Depot is important because we have day workers. We have individuals that go to a Home Depot, which is a construction supply store, to actually be picked up to be able to start working for the day. And in order for them to get onto our services, they go to Home Depot and they load the value there. So it's actually simply showing a barcode. So for example, from our mobile app, the customer can look within a 5-mile radius, the closest location to a store, whether it be groceries, 7-Eleven, mom and pop shops, or bodegas. Go to that store, give the cashier $20. Now understand how the system works. The point of sale system is a digital system. They're doing it now, whether it's any of those stores, whether it's with Square, all of those point of sale system in the grocery store, they're accepting the barcode, and that barcode technology can convert that over to a wallet in a digital format. So Soren, you give me $20 as a cashier. I'm going to do my simple process. I'm going to scan your barcode, put in $20, and voila, instantly you have $20 in your wallet to be able to use for your journey. And in some cases, you can use it to pay for special events or admissions tickets, because we've done that in the past for those that are doing our state fair, NCAA, or college football. You know, football is huge in the US. But those kind of things to give our customers the ability and to take advantage of what everyone else has digitally.
Okay, cool. So Camille, in Europe, what is the situation in your area? How much cashless do we, or how much cash transaction do we see, and what are you guys doing about it?
For instance, I was talking in introduction about the COVID pandemic, because we had to stop to sell tickets abroad because of the health issues, and it represents like 10% of our sales. So it's a lot, and it means if we don't propose any channel to these customers to buy the tickets, that means that they are going to fraud. And we are seeing now the effect of this of the COVID, in the sense that the users are losing the habit to validate a ticket aboard. And that's why I said we were really exciting to propose this kind of digital application like MaaS that can allow people to buy anytime a ticket without any issue about health, etc., etc. So there were two main objectives for us. First, to go to the Congress to these clients and to propose digital channel.
Okay, cool. So then we've also got some questions from the audience, and here's one for Tonya. Tonya, interested to understand why use mobile phone for cash tickets rather than paper barcode or till receipt. I don't know more about the question. I'm just reading it up. Can you understand it?
Can you repeat the question again, Soren?
I will. Where was it? Interested to understand why use mobile phone for cash tickets rather than paper barcode or a till receipt.
Paper barcodes. Well, interestingly enough, our paper products don't have barcodes on them. We just never had a desire or a business need to barcode our paper products. So naturally, with a mobile ticketing solution, as Tina mentioned, it's a barcode, it's a QR code. That's what generates and makes the ticket unique. But I guess I don't really understand the question. I don't know if I'm answering it, but
no, but we're just trying to be public service for the audience. So we'll let you get away with that.
Perhaps I just add another thought in there, Soren, just on the whole cash thing. Obviously, as well as being able to go into retail and add value to an account or to an app, the other solution which we're working with some customers on is at the self-service point, so the TVM, to be able to put, because they will take cash, and they're very often at the transport hubs or transport points. So the ability to put cash through the self-service machine, the TVM, and put that onto your account is something that we're doing with some of our customers. And it's in addition to, it's not instead of the other channels necessarily, but as another way, and very convenient because it's at the right place. And of course, you then don't have to pay commissions and so on.
Okay. And now we can see Camilla is changing modes of transport, I guess. Is that right, Camilla?
So
Yes,
awesome.
direct live. Direct live. I'm so sorry for this.
No, but
my train
it
soon.
It puts
I had some.
purpose to our subject. I mean, we need to make sure you're mobile.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I have some issues about the train ticket. I have to change. So sorry about this.
Okay,
okay.
We'll let you do what you have to do, and I'll go to a question from the audience to Tina. In your experience, what have the most effective forms of communications been for letting riders know about new payment options? Does this process become easier with further digitalization and proliferation of the smartphones?
Well, I will say, I want to think it becomes easier, but you've got to remember the messaging is very important. So first off is the digital channels. You know, what type of channels do we have? We have, of course, you push a push notification through the app. You have a website. DART also has a kiosk, and I was glad to hear Owen say about his ticket vending machines. We have been installing wayfinding kiosks for customers to get that level of information, especially during the pandemic. You know, information they need to understand about riding the system, riding it safely, getting from point A to point B, pushing those out. Also social media. I mean, a lot of everybody's on social media. I don't even know how to use Instagram, but still, you've got everybody that's using social media, and you push out those updates. But you got to remember one thing. Not everybody's going to read everything you push out. So the messaging is key. It must be simple, it must be short, and it must get to the point where it gets someone interested. And then they can connect to a link to be able to find out more information. So it's how it's being delivered. You know, we're looking for more channels to be able to push those out. You know, is it our partners? You know, Flowbird, is it you? You have customers. Uber, we both have Uber as a partner as well, but can they all push out the communication so the customer, and that's what we have to concentrate on, the customer's expectations and how do we deliver it to them.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add to that, I mean, certainly we, and I think others, have content management systems. So it makes it very dynamic. So when messages change, they can be sent out to equipment across all of the platforms, stations, all those locations, either tailored by location or as a broadcast message to all. And that's in the control of the operator. So I think we've been using that during COVID. As government advice has been changing from time to time, to be able to give the latest advice, what people need to do in a very simple and very visible format. And it saves kind of having to print messages or rely on people, as you say, necessarily looking at their social media or other comms.
Okay, cool.
I was just going
to Tonya.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be a mix of the two. Obviously, we are dabbling into the digital arena as well, pushing out a lot of information through the transit app to our customers, and then working with Uber, sending out emails as well. But as we look towards cash digitization and our cash customers, we're probably going to start shifting a little bit away from those digital channels and start doing a little bit more out of home marketing. But again, yes, as Tina mentioned, it's really about the message. It's the platform, yes, that's important, but it's the message.
Okay. Yeah, that's we'll come a while since we had the good old timetables in a book, and that's it. And then you can go and ask for what you need. This is a completely new world for many of us. So, Tonya, another question from the audience. What is the shorter headway achieved with the AV shuttle?
What about the AV shuttle?
The question I'm reading, what is the shorter headway achieved with the AV shuttle?
I don't have that information off the top of my head, but I can get that information for you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So whoever asked the question, do reach out to Tonya, and it seems like she'll be so kind to get you in contact with the informant.
And I believe information may be available on our website, rtd-denver.com. If you type 61AV is the name of the project. At one time, there was a final report that was published on our website, but absolutely, if you reach out to me, I'll be more than happy to share some details about that pilot.
Okay. For Owen, it's one from me. How do you see the development of standardization for the transportation data? I mean, we are talking about all the latest and greatest stuff here, but in reality, we are all still operating in silos between the different modalities, and some are trying to open up the data. And how does your organization look on that? And are you involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Very much involved with a number of standardization activities around that in terms of open data in bus, in rail, in other levels as well. So we see that as important, but it's very complex. Getting and not at a technology level, just at a kind of national, international level, getting standards agreed can be quite a long process. So I think part of this as well is about designing systems so that those interfaces can be easily adapted, because as we go from one city to another or one country to another, we find that there are different third-party systems there that need to be integrated in, and so it's making sure that that's relatively easy to do, that if the format has to change or the messaging has to change to some degree, that's not a rewrite of the system, but it's adapting at those layers. So I think for that's really important. But the more standardization there is, obviously the less dead effort there is in developing one-offs and reinventing the wheel. Although I think at least today, I think we do see big differences between different countries, different operators, different modes, and so trying to standardize all of that in a short time is beyond my capability, shall we say. We're very happy to join in with it, but to solve the whole problem, I think that's a big one.
Okay. So here's one again from the audience, and that's basically an open one for all of you guys. Do you think cash will stay a substantial part of the ticket revenue streams, or will it disappear over the next few years? What are your thoughts? Just whoever wants to carry away. Was the question understood?
No, could you repeat it, Søren, please? I missed a little bit of that.
So do you think cash will stay a substantial part of the ticket revenue stream going forward, or will it disappear over the next few years? And will we be successful in getting public transport all digitized with all the advances that you guys, Tonya, and what you, Tina, are doing to help the people who do only carry cash?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. It's one that we've been kind of thinking about, but without a really clear answer to how long that might take or whether we'll ever get there. We've seen in Germany that there's been a big shift during COVID from what was a very cash focused economy. Actually, a lot of people, especially for small value transactions, were using cash still, and that seems to have shifted quite dramatically. But we're still seeing, we talked about 22% earlier, 20% on the UK of people that still rely on cash, still work with cash, and there are fundamental reasons for that. It's not just a choice. It's there are factors that are driving that, and I think possibly this is going to be in steps. Maybe removing cash from interaction points in the transport network, not needing to have a cash transaction with a bus driver, for example. Maybe that'll come before cash disappears altogether, and being able to digitize cash easily for people. And I would say anonymously as well, because there are things about, tracking and people, civil liberties questions around account-based solutions if they can't be anonymous. So giving people the ability to use public transport and feel that they're not being tracked. I think that's going to be here for maybe forever. It's hard to predict that. So, even if we took cash down to half to 10% or something, that's still a very substantial amount of revenue. So and the people that use public transport, tend to be more in that demographic in some cases, in some countries, and so the public transport, by its nature is public. My view, it needs to be accessible, needs to be available, and people that need to use it shouldn't be excluded because they need to use cash. I haven't quite answered the question because you wanted a time frame, but there's some other things to consider.
Oh, that's we are just keeping a service here for the audience who really wants to know when is it happening.
Yeah.
So any input from the States?
Well, there is no crystal ball that's going to actually show us when we are going to be able to be a cashless society. I do think same with Owen, COVID did pivot us ahead of time. So it did push us a little bit more, maybe 3 or 4 years ahead, which is absolutely great, but it's still going to take some time. I think a part of it is not just the technology and how do we allow someone to be able to use our systems, but it's education. That's one of the biggest things, is educating those individuals. It's not that they don't clearly understand, but you have to paint a picture for them. 1, 2, and 3. It's simple. And this is the benefits. And the benefits behind it to change it into digital is very key and important. Somehow Canada has managed that because their system has very little cash. And so we need to take a look at how they transition. Now, again, their whole government is different than the US, and I can only speak for the US, and I can only speak for the 63 million that I mentioned that are unbanked. But how do we educate them in different formats? And that was the reason one of those slides I wanted to point out, it's the banks. Banks have to partner. It's the big tech companies like Google. They're getting into the payment sphere of this as well in order to come together to figure out a solution. Could it be 5 years? Maybe. Could it be 10, 20 years? Maybe, but we don't know. But we need to make sure all these partnerships come together. All the people that have the resources, have the understanding, and are able to work together to allow us to come to this solution. And it's just not for the US, it's all over.
Okay. I just have an announcement from a poll that has been run from the people on this talk here, and the poll was on what are your main challenges when implementing new ticketing and payment solutions, and 33%, the most, said it's integration. 11% says it's passenger adoption, which is the main challenge. 22% says it's the legacy systems. 22% says it's cost and funding, and there's no problem with internal buy-in, but 11% says that collaboration is one challenge to implement new ticketing and payment solutions. So integration is the highest on the list, and passenger adoption is also, and we talked about passenger adoption today, which is also quite relevant. The last questions from the audience is there seems to be some kind of different ways of what we label as MaaS. So do we as an industry need to be clear on what we're labeling as a MaaS solution, and indeed how we're labeling it for the average user? We call it MaaS. What is it called for the user? Any input on that? It's an open question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I've seen many different definitions of MaaS, technical solution definitions, ones that go up to the policy level that we saw earlier, ones that are very, very narrow, and ones that are much more around branding, and actually when you try to push them, they kind of seem to fall apart a bit. I would say that it's going to be really difficult on a global level to agree a single definition, because I think to some extent MaaS is what people need it to be, and in their context. So as an operator or a country, we'll have a view of what MaaS means. We're currently working on a project in Northern Ireland to provide all new ticketing across all of Northern Ireland, which has multiple operators, multiple modes of transport, other things, and we can talk about MaaS there in one sense. But if we then go into France, for example, very much more city orientated, joining up within a city, again, it's a slightly different definition. And if you go to UK mainland, very, very different again, because you've got a very fragmented industry across a lot of different operators in different modes, and trying to join that up becomes well, I won't even start to try to answer that one. So I think it really depends on who's using it and understanding that context.
Okay, Tonya?
Yeah, I was going to say, just from a customer perspective, I don't think it matters. I don't think our customers care what we call it. We can call it MaaS, and we can define it in 10 different ways. Our customers, I don't think they care. It's about helping them get to where they want to go, the way they want to travel. And if we want our customers to try other options other than their vehicle, their private vehicle, and to try integrating these different mobility options together to get there quickly and cost effectively, in the end, it doesn't matter what we call it.
Okay, and there is from Camille. She's now in a train with tunnels. So, hey, Camille.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I am with tunnels. I just wanted to add something about cash. I think it won't disappear like this, except if we found some technical solution that allow people to pay by cash, as Tina presented. But just to give you a little insight, in public transport, a big part of our customer don't have the means to pay by card or to spend a lot of money on public transport, and they often pay by cash for €1, €1.40. It's really hard for them. So I think it's really it's a big deal for us to address these people and to find a good solution for them, because they don't have the means to spend a lot. So I think cash will still exist.
Okay, thanks a lot. And you better dress up again so that you stay compliant with the rules in the train.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Camille. And I think we're coming to an end of this session. We have been allowed to go a little bit over time, but not to make sure that we get to lose all our audience. We'll be closing now. So maybe what we'll learn today is that at least we got something out of COVID. Now we learn how to get on Zoom and talk together with instant notice from the comfort of our homes or train or wherever we are. And the other thing is that we might have, as Tina put it, put the transition away from cash to a more smarter ticketing solution, maybe 3-4 years ahead in the process. So with that, I would like to say give a warm applause, or however we do that, to Tonya, to Tina, to Camille, and Owen. And thanks a lot for being part of this presentation, and do stay on for the rest of the week with our other nice presentations. Not as good as this one, because this one was the best. Have a nice day and nice evening. See you all, guys.
Thank you.
I don't know.